Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. So as you can hear in my voice, I probably sound a little different than I normally would because I was sick with COVID recently. So I actually was sick for a full week with COVID all of last week. And I just wanted to do an episode talking about how when we're sick as service providers, how certain things can really help us. So one thing that's really helped me and eased my mind about being sick and going back to work after an illness is my foundation of loyal client base. So, we're going to get sick sometimes. As service providers, we're human beings, it's going to happen, but also sometimes you are going to interact with, viruses, people coming into their appointments sick, all sorts of things, right? We deal with the public. So it's just part of it. So, we can't beat ourselves up about being sick because, like I said earlier, we're human beings. It's going to happen. So, we obviously get frustrated to a certain extent because if you are a business owner and listening, that's money that we're missing out on, right? There's a whole week that I didn't make money this month, and especially in the beginning of the year. So that can be a little frustrating. It can be very stressful depending on how tight your finances are. So, there's a lot of stress that can pile up when you're sick, and that sometimes actually makes it worse on the tail end because now you're trying to get your body back in order. You're trying to, get your immune system back in order after your virus has passed or after you start feeling better. But that stress sometimes can knock you back down, right? So we need to have these systems in place and things in place to make sure that when we do go back to work, it's not going to be as strenuous and as stressful of a situation. So I'm very grateful that my health is improving. Excuse me as I cough and put it on mute. That's probably going to happen throughout this episode, so I apologize in advance. But there is some ways that you can build into this loyal client base and how you can really foster these relationships to make it so you're not coming back to a stressful situation and make it so your clients actually have an understanding and a great way of communication. So my way has been inconsistency. So I have consistently shown up for my clients over the years. I've consistently given the same level of service over the years. I've consistently improved my skills and so forth. So my, backbone to my business is all about consistency. The other thing that I really rely on is clear communication. So I'm very clear and upfront about changes in my business, if I'm sick, what's going on with my business, and so forth. So my clients are always included and they feel kind of brought along as a community member, right? In any process that I make. So whether it be like me thinking about moving my business, me thinking about adding a loyalty program, me thinking about anything you really can mention. But you have to foster that relationship with your client, right? So I send regular emails to my clients to kind of keep in touch with them, what's going on. Maybe some of them are education pieces, some of them are discounts, some of them are reminders, some of them are just checking and saying hi. So I do send out regular emails. And I'm also very clear about communicating when I'm with my client in my actual treatment room. So that helps a lot too, asking them how they're doing, but also telling them how I'm doing. Like, hey, I'm a little stressed out this week. I have a lot of this and that and the other, without bombarding them with too much information or being too personal, of course. You have to keep some of your personal life personal, but you want to show that genuineness, right? You want to show that, like, I'm here in the room present with you having this conversation, and I'm not just trying to have a surface level conversation. So, these are things that can help you, but the ways that have helped me is, so this last week when I got COVID and started to become ill, I instantly knew I had to, reach out to my clients and tell them what's going on with me. because I will probably be rescheduling people, and then I will be taking days off. Now, in the beginning of my sickness, I didn't know I had COVID yet, so I just thought I was coming down with a cold or a flu or something like that, something short. And I didn't realize, like, oh no, I actually have COVID, so this is going to be a longer stint here. So, naively, I was thinking, I'm going to go back to work this day or this day, thinking I was going to be better really quickly. But so I brought my clients along on that journey. So I updated my clients very early on in the process. So as soon as I could tell a client, hey, I'm not going to be able to take you on this specific day and time, can you go back on and reschedule, and I'll cancel. I'm so sorry. This is what's going on with me. So obviously giving them enough time, telling them, and then telling people, early, say, hey, I've gotten ill this week, so just to give you a heads up, I might be rescheduling. I'm just kind of playing it by ear. You know what I mean? Like, keeping them in the loop is really important. The other thing is, like, I have systems in place to make it easy for the client to jump online. So, I think a lot of people nowadays have online schedulers. So I don't think this is something that is new to many people. But if you don't have an online scheduler yet, this is definitely a reason I would get one. Is it's very easy for your client to go jump back online and reschedule. So all you have to do on your side, which is hard enough when you're sick, is cancel their appointment, right? If you do have enough time, strength, energy, and commitment, you can always help them reschedule their appointment. Don't get me wrong. I can definitely communicate with my clients and say, hey, does this day work? But generally speaking, when you're not feeling well and you're kind of under the weather, those are tasks that you just don't want to do and you don't want to have to do. So all of my clients know that they can go online and schedule. And I put that in my text message. Now, many of my clients text with me as well, along with email. So all of my communication while I was sick was sent by text. It's an immediate form of communication. Lots of people check their text messages, probably maybe even more often than they check their emails. And so it keeps them in the loop a little faster. So that helped me a lot. And honestly, like, it made the process so much easier. And many of my clients were understanding, because I have a lot of clients that also have small children and they get sick often from those kids, or those kids just had the illness themselves. Now, I will say this time of year, many people are getting sick. So my clients have also been scheduling and rescheduling with me for the same reason. So they have a little bit level of empathy going on there. And honestly, it's just really something that happens, right? We have to just roll with the punches sometimes when it comes to illness. Now, one question that always comes up for a lot of service providers I see online is, are we going to go out of our way as soon as we feel better and go back to work? So am I adding on days and hours? And I always tell people that's completely up to you and your client load. It's also completely up to you and what you're able to handle financially and physically. So for me, it happened to work out that this is kind of a slower dip in the season for many service providers. So I'm not jam-packed right now. I don't have a waiting list right now, so to speak. So I was able to reschedule people comfortably. But generally speaking, if I am in a high busy season where I just have no room for anybody to fit in anywhere, I will pick up extra hours and maybe a day that I don't normally work. I have done that in the past. So, and, maybe letting your client know, hey, this is a time and a day I don't normally work, but I really want to get you in. I'm so sorry for, having my absence and so forth. So really re-communicating that this is something that you're going to go above and beyond for. Not trying to make them feel bad, but just reiterating that this is something that you don't necessarily aren't going to offer in the future. This is a very special situation. Because I have found in the past when I haven't communicated that like, hey, I'm coming in on a time or a day I don't normally work, that client sometimes will go forward thinking that's a day and a time that they can always schedule in the future because you've already kind of bent over backwards, So when it comes to illness, you just have to roll with the punches and be very open and honest about communication. And it will help you in the future. But this is one very quick way that kind of re-establishes the thought of we need to start building community with our current client loads. So, keep on emailing them, stay on top of emailing, stay on top of building that community, because these are the times where it's going to really pay off and your clients are going to be more in the loop and so forth. So I just wanted to share how I handled my current illness with you, and how I handled, client communication, and how I'm going back to work with a good client load and not stressing too much about it because of those past efforts. So hopefully this helps you, and thank you for listening. I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or a tip that you can use immediately. Don't forget to download my free marketing checklist, which is in the show notes. And my episodes come out weekly, so I'll see you in the next episode.